got like a alfalfa.
It was Texas, it was Tennessee. It was what I had.
Howdy, folks. Welcome in. You have arrived at the Texas to Tennessee podcast. My name is Steve. Up above that Soul Gravy. Soul Gravy, thanks for letting us do this. And appreciate you all being here tonight. If you are on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, we appreciate you. Quick update. We are, I think, almost at 1,500 folks on YouTube, which is wild.
Mm-hmm.
So appreciate y'all smashing that subscribe button. That helps a ton. So if you were lucky enough to be here on episode 69, you saw this gentleman. His name is Lance Rogers. Welcome in, Lance.
I didn't realize it was 69.
It was.
That's pretty cool.
Sometimes these things write themselves. Thank you so much for filling in. I can't remember what I had going on, but for whatever reason, I don't like missing these, but I did miss that one. So
it's life, man. It happens.
I owe you something for that.
I
think you did something
for you. It was fun.
Yeah, I think you did something with your kids, which we were kind of busting you up about.
Unacceptable.
You know, it's like, oh man, what a loser that guy is.
That's wild. So episode 69, Lance and Soul Gravy interviewed our friend Bill Taylor. So go back and watch that episode. You get a double shot of Lance. But tonight we want to talk to Mr. Rogers about his about what he has going on. So he's got a bunch of things. So looking forward to firing questions at you. Maybe to get started, if you wouldn't mind just giving us a little bit of your backstory for those folks that may not be familiar with you.
I was born and raised in Berea, Kentucky. Still living here. Kind of stuck in my hometown for a while. And I started writing music back in around 2017, 2018. I wrote my first song. I did a couple cover songs. I put it out on social media and got a good response. And people were like, "Man, I didn't know you could sing." And so it got me thinking, if they think I can sing, I might as well write my own stuff. And so then I wrote my own song and kind of started from there and haven't stopped. It's been kind of an addiction.
Nice. And then was this around COVID at the start, or were you doing it before then?
It was before COVID.
Okay.
I had I was talking with somebody about the exact pinpointed time when I really felt like I had started, and I really started because I bought a guitar. I bought a guitar because I gotten laid off from work, and I bought a guitar to waste some time, and I started my own business. I started a company called Frontier Refrigeration, and so I do heating and air refrigeration work. And there for 2 or 3 months, the phone wasn't ringing, and I was spending a lot of time in my garage. I was building a motorcycle, and I had this Pandora back in the day. I had a Pandora channel, and a buddy of mine had talked about Robert Earl King. He talked about Jason Isbell, and I hadn't heard either of those guys, any of their music.
Okay.
Because I just listened to mainstream country music at the time, and classic rock and things like that. So when I started listening to their music, I made a Robert Earl King station, and a guy named Chris Knight popped up down the river. And I was out in my garage. I was in this weird state of mind because I was stressed out because I didn't have work. I was trying this risky thing, start my own business. And all of a sudden, it stopped me dead in my tracks, some of the songs that I was hearing. And I would share them with my friends. I'd call up, be like, "Dude, have you ever heard Turnpike Troubadours?" It's like, they're like, "No, you got to check them out, man." That kind of thing. And so it changed my whole perspective. And when I started hearing those songs, I learned some Chris Knight songs on my guitar. I was teaching myself how to play. And then that's where it started, man. Yeah, in that garage on Lorraine Court back, that had to have been about 2015, something like that.
Okay. Man, Soul Gravy, how much would you like to go back to that time when you first discovered all those amazing artists?
I've thought about that as far as which person led me to all the, because we're not in Texas, or where that scene is so booming or whatever. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I was trying to think of actually who it was that kind of opened that door for me, and I think it was Blackberry Smoke. I think
Okay.
even though they're not the Texas band or whatever, but once you get off of the radio and you start finding, those people, I think One Horse Town led me to Jinx and to even back in the day. I was a huge Cadillac 3 or Cadillac Black fan, Cadillac 3 now.
Yep.
Just all these different folks that even if they were on a label, I didn't know them. So
Right. Yeah, I guess I don't think of it as much as a Texas thing as I do more just an independent thing. I mean, obviously, like Chris Knight is from where y'all are, but I mean, he spent a ton of time here, so we were super familiar with him. But yeah, that's fun to think about. There's a whole different world before that, right?
I'm pretty sure it was One Horse Town and then Cast No Stones. I think that's
Wow.
where my journey went from there. So
Solid. Well, speaking of questions, this is the
oh,
part of the show where I get to ask you why they're famous. Last week you skated out. You used the excuse that you had a tornado coming through.
it
a
actually
little
wasn't a
disappointing.
tornado. It was just a siren, apparently. So
Right. Well, safety first on the
Yeah.
Texas to Tennessee podcast. But
Got to hunker down when that happens.
yeah, so we didn't get to ask him any of the folks from Baltimore, Maryland. We had Kenny Fiddler on the show.
And I knew most of them too because I was
know.
listening.
Super
Man.
disappointing. Well, guess what? It gets tough again this week. So
Of course.
I hope you're ready.
Okay.
All right, the first individual that we're going to ask you about, his name is Carson Chamberlain.
I don't think I'm familiar with Carson. No.
Carson, songwriter, record producer, session musician, band leader for Keith Whitley
Okay.
until he passed. But he also, I don't know, you might not know this, but he tour managed for Alan Jackson and Clint Black as well. So
Ah. Okay.
shout out to Carson. This one you might get. Tony Snow.
I should know this, but I'm going blank. The name sounds extremely familiar. This
No,
is
we
the
don't-
bad part about having these at like right before bedtime. This is
Yeah. Should get you in the morning.
yeah. No, not in the morning either. It's like 10 a.m. That's be
Robert Anthony Snow was an American journalist, political commentator. If you ever turned on,
no. I was gonna say House of Dragons or whatever, but that's a different Snow. Different Snow. Yeah.
Snow. John Snow.
Different show.
He worked for President Bush as well. Anyway, kind
Okay.
of like you'd see his face and you'd be like, "Oh, I recognize that guy." We don't talk politics here, but
That's
whatever.
right.
All right, Clyde Julian Foley, also known as Red Foley.
I'm familiar with Red Foley. Yeah.
Tell me
I'm
about
glad you
Red
get-
Foley.
I'm glad you gave me the nickname.
Right?
Red Foley was is a classic country singer.
Yes.
I'm not extremely familiar with his work, but I know who he is.
Well, he was definitely on the early end of country music. I think he passed around 1960 or somewhere. I mean, he's a little ways back, but yeah, he was a huge star. Sold 25 million records, Red Foley did. Even back in the day, that's kind of wild.
I was trying to think of what the songs would have been, and I think I don't know. I don't remember what I just went to. I was trying to cheat a little bit and go to Spotify, and I still don't know which one I would have. Anyway, continue on.
Yeah,
We got a
we'll do
Foley
that in the
middle
after
school.
show.
We got a
Foley.
Foley Middle School in Berea.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's that?
We have a Foley Middle School in Berea. I think it's named after him.
Oh, that's cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. You know what? I realized I didn't give y'all much background on Berea. I should do that real quick. North Central Kentucky. By looking at the map, I'm gonna guess it's halfway between Nashville and Cincy, ish.
Yeah.
Madison County population of about 15,000. So that's Berea, folks.
We're one of those counties that's like some people consider us Eastern Kentucky, other people consider it Central.
Okay.
It's Central Kentucky, but we're also like, we have within Madison County we have Eastern Kentucky University, so it's kind of like
Oh, okay.
mixed signals.
When I looked at the map,
Make up
I'm
your
like,
mind.
that looks
Exactly.
like North Central-ish. I don't know. Just from trying to figure out whatever. But
They call it Central Kentucky for sure.
We
okay.
definitely know it's not West, so there we go.
Yes.
Mhm.
All right, you got a chance on this one,
Uh-oh.
Soul Gravy.
Hey, I got the last one too.
Yes, you did.
Okay.
The Judds.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the
You
Judds.
get credit for
All
three
of the
of them,
Judds,
but you
yes.
have to name them all.
That would be Naomi, Winona, and Ashley,
Well done.
and Aaron Judge. He's a Yankee.
Different, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The Judds actually, I don't believe were born in Berea, but they were. They went to school there, spent some time there.
Yeah.
Lance, you may know more about this than I do, but
Yeah, they
anyway.
went to. I guess they lived close by for a while, and kind of an odd fact was like one of my babysitters when I was a kid also babysit Ashley Judd when she was a kid.
Oh, how about that?
It's crazy. It was just a weird tie-in.
Yeah,
But
that's cool. All right, let's see. I've got Jonathan Bennett Fenn, Fenn.
I don't think I'm familiar
John
with.
B. Fenn,
I don't think so.
American professor of analytical chemistry, who was awarded the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 2002. So shout out to John B. Fenn. I didn't think
Great work, but unfortunately, I'm not that smart to know. So,
it's a tough one.
mhm.
And then lastly, I gotta
Okay.
find this one because I know what category he's in, but I don't see his info. And before I ask you, all right, I did. J.P. Pennington.
mhm.
Well, I don't think so. I don't think probably should be familiar with his work, but I don't think so.
He was the co-lead vocalist of the band Exile.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
J.P. Pennington also, he has written so many songs that everybody knows.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Let's see.
I remember seeing them when I was a kid. Also, City Limits had like a anniversary special. I don't remember what year, but it was tons and tons of people on this thing. I mean, like Steve Earle and Patty Griffin, all these different folks, and Exile was one of them. Which they were great for especially it was the '80s. So, and they had the '80s sound, but it didn't match everyone else that was on there. When I think of Patty Griffin, I don't think of Exile. It's
Yeah.
Well,
different. But
and there's
The guy that produced my EP, Cold of the Desert Wind, and also She Woke Up My Willie, which is released. He goes on the road with Exile and does all their sound. Yeah. So
very cool.
Dwayne King, shout out to Dwayne King.
You got you.
What's up, Dwayne? I'm pretty sure he wrote "Take Me Down," that Alabama song.
Okay.
I
That
don't
would
know if
that would
y'all
make
remember
sense.
That one. And there's some other ones. It says there's another guy by the name of J.P. Pennington who wrote "All Eyes on Me" by Tupac Shakur. So I think that might be a different person. I don't know.
You're
But shout
probably
out to
not
JP if
familiar
you
with
wrote them
his
both
work.
because that's pretty impressive.
It's a wide range.
Soul Gravy, we're going to give you
Okay.
50%, so 4 out of 8,
That's fair.
thanks
bad.
to the Judds.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Well, thanks for Lance, thanks for letting us play that game. It's always entertaining for me.
Goodness.
Berea's full of it. It's full of famous people, I reckon.
It is for sure. I learned quite a bit today, actually. This is the strangest question that I will ask. Soul Gravy has some weird ones for you later, but this one is called the pie question. And it just helps me kind of figure out where you sit musically.
All right.
So I'm going to give you a pie. It's a musical pie, and you have to divide it up into 4 sections.
Okay.
The 4 sections are songwriting, recording, performing, and then the 4th section of the pie is everything that isn't one of those 3 things. Everything that goes into running your own Lance Rogers business. So you got the 4 pieces. Where do you naturally gravitate, and where do you end up spending most of your time?
Songwriting.
Songwriting, okay.
Songwriting for sure. Yeah. I'm like constantly thinking of, things different ways to say the same thing. And, sometimes I'll hear a conversation or something, just a daily conversation, and something will strike me as different. I'll make a note of it. And then I'll, like the other night I sit down, I wrote a whole song based on grape soda. I was thinking about grape soda and how when you're a kid, you kind of pretend that it's wine, and it struck a chord with me and write a whole song. Yeah, so I love the song. I love songwriting, the process.
Are you one of the folks where it kind of hits you, and you got to get it out, or are you more of like, hey, I have an idea and I'm gonna sit down and try to work on it, or somewhere in between?
It just depends. It depends on my mood, really. But like I said, it's a lot of what I think about is in fragments, and I'll record those fragments and then kind of piece them together. I have to wait for the feeling to write the song. I can't force that to happen. And
Gotcha.
I can sit down and I can write a song, but the ones that I really feel good about are the ones that I have to wait around for that feeling, and those you can't force.
Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe do you like to keep the songwriting thing to yourself, or do you like to work with others on it, or is that something you do a little both? Or
I started out co-writing, man. I started out like,
okay,
well, the first song I ever wrote, it's called "Hey Betty," kind of loosely based on my grandparents, but I wrote that by myself. And I'd written a couple other songs. I didn't know how, you know, if they were good or not. And I reached out to a professional songwriter one time, started following me on Instagram, and I reached out and was like, dude, I need your help. I was like, I don't know if any of these songs are good. So he's like, send me what you got. So I sent him what I had, and he's like, I think you're a raw talent, is what he told me. And he's like,
okay,
you want to try to write some stuff together? And so I co-wrote 2 songs that same day with him. And what co-writing taught me was that, like, sometimes I can get stuck on a song, a concept of a song, and a co-writer will bring something out of me that's like, you know what, this this is why you and I were brought together, because like now it's a song I can be proud of, instead of just something that's just I don't know, it may have just sat in a notebook somewhere and not gone anywhere. But I definitely like co-writing. The whole process of that too is fun, and
okay.
just picking somebody's
Um,
brain, just having a great afternoon. Sometimes just picking a guitar up, having a few beers, and writing something fun.
yeah, that does sound like fun, especially the beers part. Um, all right, so my follow up question is, where do you end up spending most of your time? Is it with songwriting, or is it with one of the other areas that maybe you mentioned, whether it be recording or performing, or then all the rest of stuff that you have to do as a
The I
independent
mean
artist?
the biggest slice of pie in that pie illustration would be performing. I'm on the road quite a bit.
Okay.
I'm playing all over the place. I mean, I found that I had to get out of my home area, because it was kind of, we have so much of it right here. We have so
Hmm.
many singer songwriters, so many bands, competing for the same
Only so many venues,
things.
right?
So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna travel, and so booked myself out in Colorado, made some friends out there, all up and down the East Coast, Midwest, and then down in Florida, and over across the pond. Man, I just got back from a tour out in the UK, and uh, I do some shows around here too, around Kentucky. I got some shows coming up this coming weekend with Micah Howard
Oh,
in Richmond,
nice.
Kentucky. We wrote Green Empire together.
Okay.
Speaking of co-writing, he and I wrote Green Empire, and he's releasing that one again, on his upcoming project. So performing's a lot, and sometimes I have to remind myself, you know what, I can get out on the road and play some shows, but I also need to spend some time on the art of it and actually write some more stuff. And that's what I've been trying to focus on lately, especially the past couple weeks.
Rough guess on if you're going to estimate how many shows you played last year, approximately.
Last year is probably, I don't know, maybe like 100, maybe a little less than 100, something like that. But
Okay,
it's
that's
quite a
pretty
few.
active, especially with the distance that you're going.
Yeah.
Uh, and then just a little follow up and then Soul Gravy, if you want to dive in. A little follow up on the trip across the pond. Can you tell us a little bit kind of about how that came about? maybe who was involved and kind of what the results of your trip
Yeah,
to the
like
UK.
a few years ago, I got this idea in my head that I wanted to play over in Europe somewhere. And so I made a Facebook post and I was like, hey, I want to play music outside of the country. Anybody have any contacts? And so I had people reaching out, be like, oh, you need to talk to so and so in this country. And so I made a spreadsheet of like all these contacts. And I had one person in particular, her name's Kat Deeds. Kat reached out to me. She's like, hey, if you ever want to come to the UK, you can stay at my house with my husband and I. We can drive you around and I can book
Nice.
you some shows. And so it felt like that was the thing that I needed to do because it was going to be the easiest of the processes that I was thinking about. And I'm glad I did because, I went over there. She booked me on like 5 or 6 shows. I had Jack Browning join me on that tour. Jack was
Look,
putting some music together at the time, and we had been friends since about 2019 or 2020 on social media, and so I was like, dude, we got to get together and do this tour. So he joined me on that. We had a really good time, and talking with Kat about all the artists that are over here wanting to go over. We decided that it was something we wanted to continue, and so we put our heads together and figured out a way to do it. We have she put together another tour that I went on with Hunter Flynn and Daniel Kane, myself, and Greg Adams joined us as our tour manager. And we planned that for months and months, and we had it all sponsored. All sponsorships help pay for the trip out there and everything. So what Kat and I have done is created a nonprofit that's going to help more and more artists get out there. It's going to be sponsored and donations help artists get out there and not have to worry about the expense of the travel. Kat's putting together the tour, and we're basically we want to make it as easy as possible for Appalachian artists to get out there and play in from a new crowd. And one thing we noticed was, how excited people in the UK were with the singer songwriters that are from this area. Like everybody asked you, like, hey, Tyler Childers, and and they're kind of getting it a little bit late. They're kind of, and
sorry.
I'm intrigued by that. I'm intrigued by
Right.
that because they've been so kind of stuck on mainstream country music, and then nothing wrong with that. But there's this whole other facet of the diamond that they haven't even seen yet, and they're just being exposed to it.
Yeah.
So, if anybody out there watching this wants to go over to have a tour in UK, reach out to myself or Kat Deeds, and we'll get you hooked up.
Super cool.
Yeah, the way Lance described that to me when we talked about that, before he made that trip, was basically to have kind of a roadmap set up to where each artist is not like trying to start from scratch to make those trips. It can be shorter, longer, whatever the situation is. Fits the artist and the time period and whatever is allowed, but just so each person it piggybacks on the next person and can continue to get easier and build and all that, instead of each artist starting from scratch and grinding from the whole thing. So which it's a great idea. Even I mean it could be uh, that could be put in place for Kentucky artists to go to Texas, for that matter. You know what I mean? Which I think that's great for you guys to come up with.
But one thing we're trying to do too is make it reciprocal, so that artists from over there come over here and go on tour.
Right. That's
We'll have
cool.
a network of venues and different artists for support, and try to make this this connection. There's always that connection because of the music, because of for one, the origin of the music we play these days is from over there. Think about it, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, the UK. I mean, some of the Scandinavian countries. Like, we have such a direct connection to the origins of bluegrass music and how it became country music and red dirt and all these other things. So now we're bringing it back to them, and they love it. And so we're trying to build this highway back and forth between the two. And so far, we've gotten a lot of great feedback. Josh Mitchum just got back from his tour, helped set that up, and then Matt Woods is getting ready to go over on a few shows. And then we've got D. Boone Pittman and Jeremy Zeller. In September, we've got Cody Lee Meese and Brennan Edwards going over. And so we got a lot going on right now, and a lot more artists are reaching out, wanting to get set up with tours over there. And we're not a big record label. We're not big business, nothing like that. We're just like, I saw where there was something we could do. We could help. And, it doesn't really, sometimes all it takes is, kind of the wanting to make something happen. And that's what we wanted to do.
Like in Josh's case, he was just on the podcast too, by the way. If y'all haven't seen that, go check that out with him. And he's got his own thing going on. So go check out the podcast and learn all about all of that.
Every Damn Friday is the name of his podcast.
Yeah, every Damn Friday, and he's got a little mini festival thing that goes on his property at the Ramble at the, what is the name of the barn? The
Ramble at the Randall.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah, he's got it. He's always got a great show lined up over there too.
He does. I saw that. I would love to make a trip up there to catch one of those. It's a beautiful place for sure. But I guess my point to that was he took the family. You know what I mean? So that's a whole nother different thing that artists could do. I mean, yeah, you're working a little bit, but you're also, how many times do we get to do things like that? So
we try to set it up too, where the artist will have a couple days just to kind of mill around and take in the sights. When I went over there, we had a couple days where us guys were just like peeled off. We went to Liverpool one night and hung out, and then, like we take the train and go somewhere, and it was nice to have that opportunity to have a couple days where it wasn't solid, shows the entire time and wearing ourselves out. We still wore ourselves out, but don't get me wrong. But still, it was like we got to see a lot of the country and see a lot of the people and make a lot of new friends. It was fun.
And if you go and check out videos and stuff from those tours, I mean, the one thing that stood out to me was the crowd is like, they're into it.
Oh yeah.
Very engaged. It doesn't matter how many people are there. They're all in, which is cool. Cause that's we don't always get that.
It was wild, man. It was absolutely wild. I mean, there was a couple times where I'd finished my setup and people were like, You didn't play such and such song. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like it took me a while for my brain to register that they even said that. Like how the hell do you know about that song or whatever? And but it was a nice feeling. It was nice, and the first time I went over there, I realized that there's a need. They have a hunger for this kind of music, and there's a need. And so I wanted to get as many of my friends over there as possible. And there's a brand new fan base that's setting in, and we've got connected with a couple music festivals over there. One in particular, we're already starting to get some artists booked on it, and more information to come on that. It's exciting for me to be able to help build something like this from the ground up, and I don't know, man. I just feel really good about the whole thing.
So again, where do people go to if they want to help with a nonprofit?
We started off like just social media and on Facebook and Instagram called For the Love of Appalachia, and there is a website. The links all on the social media, and as far as like donations and things like that, I'll be if you're interested, reach out to me directly and I can send you any information on that. But it's really something, we were surprised how many people were eager to help, especially, with Appalachian artists. It's kind of like we all kind of struggle to make it, not a whole lot of people have enough money to even drive to a gig sometimes, let alone fly overseas and, all this. And so we just wanted to make it to where, the last thing they have to worry about is being financially strapped when they get over there, and just be able to enjoy the shows, make fans, sell merch, and make a little bit of money on the shows and things like that. So again, thank you to all the sponsors. We had probably 20 something sponsors on there. And one thing we do with the sponsorships is we put all their logos on the tour poster, any kind of merch that we're going to create some t-shirts with some sponsorship logos on there. And so we want to always give back and let everybody know that, hey, this is not just some rich dude or some big company or something like that. These are company, businesses right here in Appalachia that are helping, and individuals helping, singer songwriters to get heard. And I fully believe that there are a lot of careers that will get, boosted because of the fan base that's over there in Europe and, in the UK. It would be something interesting to see it develop over the years.
Well, we can see that in reverse with Jack. I'm sorry, with Jack Browning, as far as just if you, again, he's been on the pod too, and if he's extremely interesting, cool guy. If you probably have seen him on social media as far as his paintings and things like that. Extremely talented singer, songwriter, artist, the whole shebang. A little jealous of all that. I got a TikTok somewhere where I outdrew or outpainted Jack. Y'all have to go. I'll find that. I'll put it in the link of the video. I have to remember. I forgot about that until we just started talking about it. I didn't actually do it, but either way, it's funny.
Well, boys, we are. I know time flies when we're having fun, but we're at halftime, and we have a world premiere for you. So, Lance, if you'd like to set this one up, Soul Gravy's gonna play it for us.
All right, I'll set it up. I took a very powerful gummy one night, and I went to sleep, and I had a dream that I was playing a house show with Willie Nelson, and I was sitting there in somebody's living room. I looked over and was like, "Damn, that's Willie Nelson right there! I can't believe this." And then I woke up, and then I was dating this girl at the time, and I called her up and was like, "That gummy that I took that you gave me, I took it the other night. I took it last night, and I had a dream about Willie Nelson." She said, "That weed must have woke up your inner Willie." And I was like, she woke up my Willie. I got to write that. And so I immediately, while she was on the phone, I was like, I Googled Willie Nelson song titles and I started writing the song. And the song is comprised of 32 Willie Nelson song titles. She woke up my Willie. It's kind of ridiculous, it's just a fun song.
Well, and just for clarification, was the girlfriend in the dream or in real life?
She was real life, but not for very long.
All right, well, these things happen.
That's how my life was going for a while.
Fair enough.
It's way different now.
All right, we'll hit the Soul Gravy. Lance and I will hit the mute button so we can listen to it.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
I was playing a gig at a local bar when a good-hearted woman walked in. Her pale blue eyes had been crying in the rain, so I played her some highway. She walked on over to Bobby McGee, whispered, "Help me make it through the night." She was an angel flying too close to the ground, now she's always on my mind. She woke up my Willie, hold on, girls I've loved before and then on the road again. My heroes have always been cowboys, there's always one more song to write. I'll drink me a whiskey river, she'll drink yesterday's wine. Now the last thing I needed first thing in the morning was to ask her to ride me back home. But she said, "You got the money, I got the time, I'll be everywhere you go." She was a red-headed stranger, loved Shotgun Willie and living in the promised land. I can't help it, I let my mind wander, just a good time in man. And she woke up my Willie, oh, all the girls I've loved before and then on the road again. My heroes have always been cowboys, there's always one more song to write. I'll drink me a whiskey river, she'll drink yesterday's wine. It's funny how time slips away and any old arms won't do. Around the Mendocino County line, she asked, is it wrong if I love you? I said, oh shit. Both hands on the wheel, feel a little ashamed, almost across the borderline. I sang, Mama, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys. With Georgia on my mind. Cause she woke up my Willie, oh, she woke up my Willie, oh, to all the girls I've loved before, and then on the road again. My heroes have always been cowboys, there's always one more song to write. I'll drink me a whiskey river, she'll drink yesterday's wine. I'll drink me a whiskey river, she'll drink yesterday's wine.
There we go.
What do you think?
It's really good.
It's funny, ain't it? You know what? It put a smile on all three of our faces, man. And
did.
I think if it'll do that to us, it'll do that to 100,000 other people, and that, you know, that's part of it. You know, making. I write a bunch of sad shit too, but I think some, you know, just put some, you know, some fun things out there is good too.
Well, it's so if y'all want to hear another cut of that, it a little over 2 hours, you'll be able to hear that. So if there is a pre-save available, go hit it. And I'm sure while you're there, follow Lance. He would appreciate it. But speaking of other songs, I think you have a couple songs in the works.
Yeah, I've got two that are getting ready to get recorded with a guy named Zach McCord out in West Virginia. He recorded a bunch of Charles Wesley Godwin stuff, and Bill Taylor just over there recording some stuff. And
Very cool.
we're doing two singles. We're doing a song called Golden Hour, and we're doing a song called Just About Summertime, which is, you know, it's kind of on the, it's up tempo. It's kind of on the same level as She Woke Up My Willie. It's like, it's a fun murder ballad. You know, it's up tempo. You can dance to it. Like,
Yeah, slightly different, but
it catches you off guard. You know, because you're like, you don't really expect there to be a body in the trunk, you know, and that's where the song goes.
well, speaking of the last song, Doc had a comment that said, let's see if I can find it here. It said, "Oh, he was surprised that I can get off on you was not in that last song. So maybe that'll be in version 2.
Could do a part 2.
Yeah. Like a whole series.
She Woke Up My Willie again.
There you go.
Very
Well,
nice.
he's got plenty of songs and plenty of albums, so
You know, it'll continue. I don't know, man. It's like some of the hardest things to decide on when you write a bunch of songs is like, you know, for instance, like Golden Hour. It sounds it's like a grungy kind of rock ballad almost, and then,
Oh, cool.
you know, so She Woke Up My Willie. I don't know. It's like a kind of a little honky tonk kind of. I don't even know. It's country.
So you seem a little more uneasy putting out the not serious song than you. Is that fair? Are you a little bit more hesitant on,
It's true.
like, if
'Cause
it was some like strictly, you know, A minor chord, you know, murder ballad song, but you seem a little more hesitant about putting this out because it's out of your comfort zone.
it was a little bit different. I didn't know if it was going to be you know, it doesn't really go with the brand, you know what I mean? But maybe that is my brand. It's like all over the place kind of, you know, thing where so much of my first album, when I put it out, it was basically a result of me going through a bunch of bad things in my life that I was having to unwind from. And then, you know, some marriage problems and all kinds of stuff. But, you know, I needed to get that out. And now I'm in a part of my life where I'm okay with everything. You know, even me and my ex-wife, we have a great relationship. You know, my kids are great. I'm in a really good, healthy relationship right now with my girlfriend. And so things are better. And I feel like now my songs kind of reflect that. And every once in a while I'll throw one out there that's still, you know, on the sad side or you know, I'm a deep thinker. I love going back in time in my mind with a lot of nostalgic things about you know, growing up as a kid and things like that. And that can come across as sad sometimes, but it's really not. It's just part of my story. So I don't know, man. Like, I feel like every song kind of stands on its own terms. And that's why I need to get more of these out. Instead of like trying to figure out, okay, I've got these songs that kind of sound the same. I need to wait to put them out until, you know, I have enough money to get an album out, and I put them all on an album. I think where I'm at right now is just recording a couple as I can afford it, get them out there and just see what they do. And
Yep.
I think a lot of artists are like that these days.
Yeah, understood.
Yeah.
I mean, if you
I
could
think
get the
that all,
financial I'm sorry, if you could get the financial like turnaround on, you know, on making those albums and actually, you know, doing the vinyl and the whole shebang, that'd be great. But if you're not in a position to do that, then why not? You know, like you said.
It is a dream to get a record pressed. At some point I want to, when that happens.
Understood.
But yeah, right now I just, taking it one step at a time. And I think it's more important to get as many songs out as I can that, really mean something to me, and it's funny, like saying that statement after listening to She Woke Up My Willie, but it's also kind of it's a goofy enough song. And it was like, it hit me at the right time in my life where I was like, I really don't care. Like I'm just gonna see what happens. But
yeah. Well, I think there is something also, at least from my perspective, to be said for kind of, culling your own crowd too. I mean, you could go off and have a song pop off and have people hang around you for, a little bit, and then they move on to the next thing.
yeah,
The more stuff you put out, the greater chance you're going to be able to form the people that like your stuff. I know that sounds really basic, but I mean, there is some truth to that.
It's very much like fishing, man. And you hate to think about a song as being bait, but it is like that. I don't see how you can not be an artist and want to be successful in the point of like having a fan base and having people like your stuff. And when you're fishing, say you're fishing, sometimes you're not there because you want to eat fish. Sometimes you're there because you're in this thought process. You need meditation. You need that time on the bank. But every once in a while, you're like, damn, I like to catch something. You know what I mean? It's like, what if I tried what if I tried something different? What if I tried this, like this?
Right.
It's like, because you can get meditation and get, you're like, man, this is great. Day of fishing. And then you're like, shit, I'm not catching anything. All of a sudden you catch something that changes your entire world. And it's like,
Where you want to go fishing again.
yes.
Yeah.
And so I feel like a lot of musicians are like that, man.
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about one of my favorite podcasts, which is Falling
That's
Forward.
right.
All right.
I am a subscriber. Y'all should be too. Go to YouTube and subscribe. It's free. It is, Lance has some great guests. And it's interesting to me because they all kind of have a little bit unique backgrounds and I don't know. I love talking to artists, so this is fun for us to get to do. But you really vary it up with folks from all different walks of life, and I've really enjoyed that. So I've watched every single one. I hope you continue to do it. Y'all should go check out the podcast. But if you want to talk about it a little bit, Lance, that'd be great.
Yeah, man. I bought this old pickup truck. I like old Ford pickup trucks. My dad had one. My grandpa had one. And so I picked this thing up and it's sitting in my driveway, and I was like, you know what? I want to restore it. And also I got into smoking cigars, and I was like, it'd be cool if I went out there and did a cigar review in the truck. And so I was thinking about it. I was like, you know what? Instead of just thinking about it, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to record something. So I put my phone up and I just started recording, and that was the first episode. Second episode, I still like trying to figure out what direction this thing going, but essentially it's kind of a truck restoration. it's going to take a long time to restore this truck. It's a cigar review show. It's also interviews, and it's kind of like, in a way, it's like my way of leaving something behind in case something happens to me. Like I'll have my grandkids, my great grandkids, being able to watch the show, and be like, "What was my grandpa like?" And I kind of give experiences I've had through my life, and things that I've done right, things that I've done wrong, and I'm to that point in my life where I think it's better to get it all out there, and because it's going to help somebody. And along the way too, with the interviews, like I'd like to pick people's minds about things that they found themselves like maybe at a low point in their life, and they picked themselves up and they moved on. What were those like little nuggets of truth and little pieces of wisdom that can give me and give the audience? And I like recording that. I like, the people that I've gotten in the truck. It's people in the music industry, my, friends that are artists, people that are unrelated to music, people in the community. And everybody has a story, and I try to capture that. And, it's kind of a metaphor. The truck's a metaphor for the restoration we do on ourselves.
Yep. I was going to say, so somebody asked in the chat, it's called Falling Forward, and it's FOR''D. You can find it on YouTube, maybe some other spaces, but it does feel a little therapeutic each time I watch it. So for what it's worth, honestly, I'd prefer a little more talk about the truck because I also own an old Ford truck, but I'm cool with what you're doing. It's fine, but it is a pretty cool concept of, what is it, 73, 74?
It's a 75. Yeah, it's
75. Okay. Hi, boy.
a 75 Ford F-250 High Boy.
Okay.
Yep, they're it's a cool truck. I've got it mechanically safe to drive around, so I run my errands with it now, and
Nice.
it's rough. I mean, it drives like a lumber wagon.
Does it have any, without getting too deep, does it have any of the like original engine or transmission, or have you?
It's all
Is that
original.
part of the restoration?
Yeah,
Oh, it's all original. Okay.
It's all original, except at some point somebody converted it from points to like electronic ignition.
Gotcha.
So, but
Right.
makes it more reliable.
For sure.
Mhm.
But it's
Yeah.
I love it, man. Every time it smells like gas every time I fire it up. It reminds me of my childhood.
It goes well with the cigars.
Well,
Uh,
y'all make
so-
sure and go check out Falling Forward. I'm sure Lance would appreciate it, but not just to follow along, but to actually enjoy the conversations. They're real conversations with real folks. So
Are you gonna are you gonna get sponsors on the truck like the
NASCAR,
drive it around town?
not a bad idea.
It could work.
Uh,
If I've only
you
got
could actually put it on both sides, so you're not just turning left. And through town.
I've only got 212 viewers right now, and I would imagine at some point, if something takes off, maybe some sponsors would be interested in like the truck. But right now, I am like I talked to Tiffany Finley, and I interviewed her in the truck not too long ago, and she's on the board of Master Musician Festival, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna park my truck out in the parking lot and interview people during the festival.
100%.
And she's like, how about you just park it behind the stage?
There you go.
I'm like, hell yeah. So she's like,
Why don't we pull it on the stage?
she's like, remind me of that. And I'm just reminding myself to remind her. So, but yeah, just, it would be cool to interview some of the bands as they're going, as they're hanging out, they're, spinning the wheels a little bit, and, talk to some of those guys, and it'd be fun.
For sure.
Yeah, that's situations like that is a win-win for everyone involved. The podcast, of course, but also it's just another promotion for the festival, for the artist, for the, a lot of those festivals don't get that kind of publicity besides people talking about it. So,
Yeah.
there's a ton of those. and I'm jealous that half of them are in Kentucky. Apparently,
A lot, man. You
Gotta
gotta come
come
out here.
there's not a single damn one of them in West Tennessee.
We got, you gotta join me. Maybe join me, and we'll do a collab like podcast thing.
Yeah, yeah.
That's be fun.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Tennessee to Kentucky.
There you go.
The trip's not that far, but that's all right.
Are we ready? We're kind of closing in on it. Are we ready for
Yeah.
a little rapid fire? And
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't know. The last question might not be a surprise now that I think about it.
No. It's if
Okay.
you paid
Well,
attention.
we'll go ahead and ask it either way.
Before we get started on that, one thing I want to talk about with Lance. This is off script a little bit. Not that we have a script, but you know what I mean. When I met Lance the first time, he gave me a call and was talking about coming on the podcast and everything. And one thing that stood out to me from talking, one, he was nice and all of that, but he seemed to, like you said, he's a deep thinker, and I could tell that from our first conversation. I was like, man, I would love to have a venue around here, whether I'm involved with it or not, to bring in artists. And he was like, yeah, man, and you could add the podcast, interview them before the show or whatever. The point was, as he seems to always be thinking of something else to do instead of just doing the norm, if that makes sense. So that stood out really, really quick, and so kudos to you on that. So
Thanks, man. It's like I feel like I'm an idea kind of guy, but I also realize like some of these ideas just need to happen. And that's where I kind of fall, like with the falling forward thing. It was just an idea that I had. It was kind of a whim, and it could have just went out with the breeze, but I decided like, no, just get out there and do it and see what happens. And, I still, man, it's not like it's got a bunch of traction or anything like that, but it could someday. But, and some of the ideas that I've got, man, I just like seeing, I think any creative person, man, in general, likes to see something that they've talked about come to fruition. And that's the beauty of a song too. Like we write songs and all of a sudden they're recorded and they're out and people are singing them. And it's just something I get a kick out of it, man.
understood.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's hit into the rapid fire. First question, we've revamped it a little bit. What's an album, CD, tape, 8-track, I don't know, that you've purchased more than once?
I had to change positions on this because of my battery's getting ready to die, but
All good.
I got it on the charger now. Could you repeat that one?
Yes, I can. What's an album that you've purchased more than once?
That I've purchased more than once. God, that's a tough one, man. Like I'm very good at keeping my stuff around, so I'm like,
Maybe his would be the desert island question would be easier.
Okay. All right. We'll ask it a different way. You're stranded on a desert island, and you get to take one album with you. What are you taking?
if I got to take one album with me, I don't know. This is kind of weird, but I like, Eddie Vedder, remember that soundtrack for Into the Wild?
Enough for me.
Into the Wild?
Yeah.
Like, there's something
That's
something that strikes a chord in that.
It's an
album.
interesting movie too.
Yeah. Every time. Now, I can't say that that's my favorite album of all time, but like a desert island situation, that's kind of, I would want to hear that all the time.
Okay.
It's kind of weird. It's kind of, I kind of surprised myself saying that.
So,
But
Greg, did you lose him there?
No, I still got him. Are we having technical difficulties?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Uh-oh.
Have we lost something?
I'm good. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you.
Huh.
I can hear you.
All right.
Yeah.
But you
Just
can't
glitched
hear
out
what?
there for a bit.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
It glitched.
I'm sure it was a great answer. I heard Into the Wild.
It was an epic answer. Continue. Continue
Okay.
on.
All right. Well, are you ready for the next question?
Did StreamYard glitch or did you glitch?
I thought I was fine, but
No,
I
I
all
meant
of a
you
sudden
as a
I couldn't hear
person.
you.
Did you freeze up for a second?
I might have glitched for a second
Okay,
We're living in a simulation, bro.
exactly.
for sure. All right. The next question is dinner with one historical figure.
Man, these are tough.
Well, they get easier.
Yeah,
The
historical
follow
figure.
up
I
the
don't know, like
follow up to this is
I think
what
Abraham
would
Lincoln,
be.
man. You
All
mentioned
right,
happy
Abe.
lunch with
Nice.
Abraham Lincoln. I think he talk about a wise man. I think that'd be a good one.
Solid. What would y'all be eating?
Probably a hot brown.
All right, there you go. All right. Let's see. Ideal green room. What does your ideal green room look like?
Ideal green room, very dark. You know, some mood lighting, something chill and tranquil. Not a whole lot of people. Place where I can tune my guitar up and get in the right mindset before the show.
Okay. Pretty straightforward. Curious, what do you see when you play?
What do I see? I mean, a lot of times, you know, sometimes I've heard people describe this as like seeing colors or
Shapes or
whatnot.
something? Yeah.
I see like I think about my songs in shapes more than anything. So, but as far as what I see, I try to tune a lot of things out while I'm on stage. I really do. I really don't look people in the eyes that much. I'm trying to get better at that. Uh, I kind of I kind of zone out a little bit, and I kind of put myself in the mindset that I need to be. But also that kind of backfires sometimes when I'm singing a sad song because I'll get choked up. So I kind of get in this mid range place where I'm kind of totally into my song, and I'm trying to avoid too many eyeballs, and then try to get in this sweet spot of just like maintaining being in the moment, especially if I'm playing with the band. I want to I want to stay in tune with them, but I don't know exactly what I see. It kind of depends on the atmosphere of the gig.
I'm guessing if you end up concentrating too much on what it is that you're seeing, you probably would hop out of flow, the flow state or whatever you call it, that
Exactly.
place that you're in, right?
It's kind of that the law of attraction, man. It's like whatever you focus on, you get. So if you're on stage and you're worried about like, oh man, I'm gonna mess this up. As soon as you think about it, yeah, you are gonna mess it up because
Right.
you're
Yeah, that's
already
how it works.
that's what you want.
Right. All right. This one's pretty easy. First concert that you attended, first concert that you paid for, and the best concert that you've ever been to.
Okay,
That's new.
the first
That's a little
concert that I ever
twist.
went to, uh, considered a concert, was 1989 Cheyenne Frontier Days, and it was George Strait.
Wow.
That was also the rodeo where Lane Frost got killed.
Yeah.
I was there. I was like 12 years old, um, but I'll never forget it. And then the first one I ever paid for,
You gotta get your lane hat.
I did.
Okay.
yeah, I still have the ticket stub from that
That's
show.
wild.
It was in my scrapbook. So I, the first one I ever paid for, I think it was um, Confederate Railroad. Remember
Ellen
those
Church,
guys?
Wyman. Yeah,
Oh
nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if they went away and came back or whatever, but they're on tour again. I saw our friend Wes Schiff is going to be opening for them down in I
I
think
went
in
and saw
Florida. So
I went and saw them at EKU. This is back when I was in high school, and I used my brother's college ID to get in the show. But yeah, I actually paid for that one.
I'm pretty sure Soul Gravy was president of the Trashy Women fan club. Maybe.
I, was,
I know, Mom, ain't that cool?
I know, I know.
I mean,
Uh,
that was one of those songs that was like, it's
Hell
kind of
yeah.
like an achy breaky heart kind of song where it's like, it's
That's
so catchy.
It's a way better song than that, though.
It is. It is. That one kick out of it.
That and Queen of Memphis.
That's right.
They had some good ones, man. And they were a high energy band too to watch.
And then out of all the shows that you've seen, what was your favorite one?
I saw Frank Sinatra in Las Vegas when I was a
Oh,
kid. And I used to go on trips with my uncle. My uncle, like, and my cousin. My uncle's like a grocer, and he used to take us on trips every year. And we'd always end up in Vegas at some show. I got to see some greats, man. I saw the
convention.
Righteous
Yeah.
Brothers, Frank Sinatra. Um, I saw the Four Tops. Got to go backstage at the Four Tops. But Frank Sinatra, man, like seeing him was incredible.
Yep.
What?
Uncle was hitting the old grocer convention. It sounds like that's
Yeah,
I want to travel with your family.
he owns a grocery store chain and travels the world all the time. And
Nice.
but yeah, I used to tag along with their family a lot when I was a kid.
All righty. Two more, and then I will hand you off to Soul Gravy. Bucket list venue, a venue that you haven't played yet that you really would like to play.
The Ryman, baby.
Yeah,
That's
pretty cool.
that's the stage that if I died on, I'd be fine. I could be completely happy with that and be like, okay, thank you, God. That
Be a great way to go. Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like the Ryman, kind of everything it represents, and all the people that have played it before. I've got a tattoo on the back of my arm with the Ryman windows on it, and I don't know. I just like that's kind of one of my manifestation things is like I'm gonna play the Ryman one day, and I don't know how or when. I just know it's gonna happen.
Just gonna make it happen. Yeah.
It's just one of those things, man. It sounds like I don't want it to sound like egotistical. I don't want it to sound like crazy, but I just got this overwhelming feeling like that's part of my path, man. It's weird. So we'll see what
Right.
happens with that.
We'll think it into existence.
Maybe she woke up my
Absolutely.
Willie will be
And
the
then,
thing
my
that
last
sets me off.
question. It'd be really cool if you get Willie to go with you, but
Oh hell yeah.
all right. The last question I have for you is tribute bands, yay or nay?
Yay.
Yay. All right. Down with tribute bands. All right. Cool.
All right, so I should have asked you this, or should have gave you a heads up on this, Lance. But do you have a question or anything associated with your podcast that you would ask us? Does that?
One thing that I try to ask most people, and I put it I frame it a little bit different way each time. It's kind of like, what is something that you've had to overcome to get to where you are now, as far as like you're being a creative. So what was the struggle that you had to overcome to maintain your creativity to get to what you're doing now?
I would say Soul Gravy.
You had to get past me to get where you're at now. Fair enough.
That's right.
My biggest thing, honestly, would be worried about what everyone's opinion is. I didn't play a single show, or I mean, I played drums in bar bands forever, but never sang in front of anybody until, well, let me rephrase that. I wasn't comfortable singing in front of anybody until I figured out that I should do it for myself and then hope someone else will like it too. And that includes, and that on folks, Steve knows me from TikTok and everything else, and that's where I learned that. To be honest, was playing music online, just having fun and letting it fly
Doing your
and
thing.
and doing my thing. And then once I kind of got okay with that, not to say that I'm that great at anything I do, because I just do it for fun and for whatever, but just to be comfortable with it. That's what. And it took I'm a diabetic now after half of my life, but it took something like that to make me go, okay, life's not, it didn't last forever.
Hmm.
you know, shit or get off the pot sort of situation. So I took a big old dump and started singing songs. So
Well,
There you
that
go.
is a big step, though. Is like to get to that
Huge
point where, like,
steps.
I'm living my life the way I want to live it, and yeah, I mean,
and not everybody understands it, which
we
is
have to
okay.
take those opinions. People get it's we can't say that we're so callous we don't care what people think, because we do.
Yes.
But there's a point where you're like, you know what? I'm the only one that can do this. I'm the only one that can say this. I'm the only one that has lived my life. So it's an injustice to hold back.
And it seems like once you get to that point, then you actually start meeting other people that feel the same way, whether they're music people or not, just in general. Like, you know, you start meeting people that support you that you didn't even know that you were going to meet. So,
Yeah.
100%.
like Steve, he's my biggest fan. That's why I asked him to come on the podcast. Yep.
I'm here for you, Soul
Number
Gravy.
one.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, appreciate that. I thought about that when he started the rapid fire. I was like, I
Yeah.
I should have asked beforehand. But
All good.
all right, so the time for our not so not
Not
so
so
meaningful
surprising question.
last question. Okay, this is not near as deep thought and thoughtful as Lance this question here, but we're gonna go with it anyway. So this started off with episode one as a joke with Matt Willis and Go Red and all those, and now it is we continue the tradition. We will be posting our 100th episode soon. Looking forward and appreciate everybody for that. Lance, what is your favorite Little Debbie snack?
Little Debbie. I mean, I like the Nutty Bar, bro. I like the Nutty Bar. I've always liked that. I mean, there was a time when it's all about the oatmeal pie, but Nutty Bar, that's the one I buy a lot.
He was starting to lean towards
Yeah,
you,
not
and
quite.
then it's like,
Close.
let's
That's
get back
good. I
away from that.
appreciate the effort, though.
Remember, as
But
a
no, we
kid,
don't cream
man,
pie guys.
when I was in elementary school, we had this thing. They just called it store. In elementary school, they like one part of the day they allowed us to go down the hallway and buy something from this little store that they had set up, and 25 cents or whatever, and um, I'd get one of those Nutty Bars, and I bring it back to class, and I remember everybody would eat all their snacks like immediately, like ravage their snacks, man. Like, and I would take that Nutty Bar and I'd take it apart piece by piece,
That's what I was gonna ask.
and I would make it last. I would make it last, and like by the time I get into my second one, I had people like offering me money for like, man, I'll give you. So I'd make my money back, like on half of it, So, but
Always
just
one step ahead.
Uh-huh.
it's funny how you remember like little things like that. But
I told you he was a deep thinker.
Yeah.
Always.
Well, yeah. So shout out to Summer Dean. She gave us a whole walkthrough on how she liked to eat her oatmeal cream pies too. I don't know if y'all have checked out that episode, but you probably should.
That one and the other. I don't want to say it. Never mind.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
All good.
there's another good one.
And we
Uh,
appreciate Lance. We appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. It was even more fun than I anticipated, and y'all make sure and go follow Lance wherever you stream your music. And we appreciate you joining us.
man, I appreciate you guys for doing this and having me on, and I hope I can have you both on my YouTube channel at some point, man. And anyway, just even if not, we just get together and hang out, have a beer or something like that. You guys seem cool.
Absolutely. If all of a sudden you come out of the house and you see Soul Gravy sitting in the passenger side of your truck without an invitation, you'll know that's why. So, all right, y'all, take care. Adios. See ya.
see ya.